everyone, in this video I will demonstrate how to generate descriptive statistic using SPSS. First, make sure your dataset is already open. Next, click on the Analyze menu from the drop-down list, select Descriptive Statistic and click Descriptive. The Descriptive dialog box will appear. Select the variable that you would like to analyze, then click the arrow button to move them into the variable box. Once all the settings are complete, click OK to run the descriptive statistic analysis. SPSS will display the output in the output viewer. The table summarizes the descriptive statistic for each selected variable, including the sample size, mean, standard deviation, minimum, and maximum value. Hello everyone, in this video, I will demonstrate how to perform a Pearson correlation analysis using SPSS. First, make sure your dataset is already open in the SPSS data view. Next, click on the Analyze menu. From the drop-down list, select Correlate and then choose Bivariate. The Bivariate correlation dialog box will appear. First, select the variable that you would like to examine for the relationship. Click the arrow button to move them into the variable box. Continue selecting all the variables required for the analysis until they appear in the variable box. Ensure that Pearson correlation and the two-tailed significant test are selected. Once all the variables have been selected and the settings are correct, click OK to run the correlation analysis. SPSS will generate the correlation output. The correlation metric displays the Pearson correlation coefficient between all selected variables, together with their significance, value, and sample size. To interpret the result, first look at the Pearson correlation value, which range from -1 to +1. A positive value indicates that both variables increase together, which are negative value indicates that one variable increase as the other decrease. Next, examine the size-to-tail value. If the p-value is less than 0.05, the relationship is considered statistically significant. Finally, report both the correlation coefficient or R and the p-value when presenting your findings. This completes the Pearson correlation analysis in SPSS. In this video, I will demonstrate how to perform a one-way ANOVA using SPSS. Click on the Analyze, then move to Compare Means and select One-Way ANOVA from the drop-down menu. The One-Way ANOVA dialog box will appear. Select the dependent variable, which is the continuous variable you want to compare, and move it into the dependent list. Then, select the grouping variable and place it into the factor box. After assigning the variables, click on the option to choose additional descriptive statistic and other relevant output. Once selected, click Continue. Next, click OK to run the analysis. SPSS will automatically generate to output in the output viewer. The first table provided descriptive statistics for each group, including the sample size, mean, standard deviation, and confidence interval. These values help summarize the data before interpreting the ANOVA result. Finally, examine the ANOVA table. Focus on the F value and the significant value, which represent the p-value. If the p-value is less than 0.05, there is a statistically significant difference between the group means. If the p-value is greater than 0.05, there is a no significant difference among the groups. In this video, I will demonstrate how to create a pie chart using SPSS. First, open the dataset that contains the variable you would like to present in the chart. Next, click on Graph, then select Chart Builder from the drop-down menu. If prompted, click OK to continue. Once the Data Builder window appears, select the pie chart category, Then choose the simple pie chart and drag it into the chart preview area. Now, select the categorical variable that you want to display in the pie chart. Drag this variable into the slice by or category box so that SPSS can divide the pie chart into different sections based on the selected categories. After assigning the variable, click OK to generate the chart. SPSS will process the data and display the pie chart in the output viewer. The output shows the pie chart, where each slice represents a category within the selected variable. The size of each slice reflects the proportion or percentage of cases in the category. Finally, interpret the chart by comparing the percentage of each category. Larger slice indicates a greater proportion of respondents, making it easier to visualize the distribution of the data. In this video, I will demonstrate how to perform an independent sample t-test using SPSS. First, open the dataset that contains both of the continuous dependent variable and the grouping variable required for the analysis. Before running the analysis, check the coding of the grouping variable by clicking on the variable view. Make sure the groups are coded correctly. For example, group 1 and group 2, as the value will be used in the t-test. After confirm the coding, return to the data view. The dataset is now ready for statistical analysis. Next, click on Analyze, select Compare Means and choose Independent Sample t-test from the menu. The Independent Sample t-test dialog box will appear. Select the continuous variable that you want to compare and move it into the Test Variables box. Next, select the grouping variable and move it into the grouping variable box. Then, click Define Groups and enter the group codes exactly as they appears in the dataset, such as Group 1 equals 1 and Group 2 equals 2. Click Continue to return to the main dialog box. After all variables have been assigned correctly, click OK to run the analysis. SPSS will process the data and generate the output in the output viewer. The first output table presents the group statistics, including the sample size, mean, standard deviation, and standard error for each group. This descriptive statistic provides an overview of the difference between the two groups. Finally, examine the independent sample table test. First, check 11 tests for equality of variance to determine whether equal variance can be assumed. Then, interpret the side-to-tail value. If the p-value is less than 0.05, there is a statistically significant difference between the two groups. If the p-value is greater than 0.05, there is no statistically significant difference between them. In this video, I will demonstrate how to create a box plot using SPSS. First, open the dataset that contains the variable required for the analysis. Next, click on Graph, then select Chart Builder. If a message appears asking whether to define the measure level, simply click OK to continue. Once the Chart Builder window opens, select Box Plot from the gallery, choose the simple box plot and drag it into the chart preview area. Now, assign the variable, drag the continuous variable into the y-axis and the categorical grouping variable into the x-axis. This allows SPSS to compare the distribution of the continuous variable across different groups. After all the variables have been assigned correctly, click OK. SPSS will generate the box plot and display the output in the output viewer. The box plot summarizes the distribution of the data for each group. The line inside each box represents the median, the box shows the interquartile range, and the whisker indicates the spread of the data. Any point outside the whisker represents potential outlier. This chart is useful for comparing the distribution and identifying usually value across group. In this video, I will demonstrate how to create a scatter plot using SPSS. First, open the dataset that contains the two continuous variables you want to examine. Next, click on Graph and then select Chart Builder. If SPSS displays a message about measurement level, simply click OK to continue. When the Chart Builder window appears, select the Scatter category. Choose the simple scatter chart and drag it into the chart preview area. Now, assign the variable to the chart. Drag the independent variable to the x-axis and drag the dependent variable to the y-axis. Ensure that both variables are continuous before proceeding. After assigning the variable correctly, click OK. SPSS will generate the scatter plot and display it into the output viewer. The scatter plot displays each operation as a single point. This graph allows you to examine the relationship between the two variables by observing the overall pattern of the data point. Finally, interpret the scatter plot by looking at the direction and strength of the relationship. If the point form an upward pattern, the variable have a positive relationship. If they form a downward pattern, the relationship is negative. If the points are scattered randomly with no clear pattern, it suggests that there is a little or no linear relationship between the variables. Thank you for watching.